Good morning, and we are back at Hack RedCon Day 2. And today we're going to start off the day with an interview with Patrick. Patrick, why don't you go ahead and tell everybody a little bit about yourself?
So I'm Patrick. My background is I've been photo industry for 20 years or more, maybe. Makes me feel old, but
makes you feel old. Give me a break, man. I remember Vaxes. I worked on a Prime Lundy mainframe with a light pen. You ain't old.
Okay, no.
But that's an amazing 20 years in the photo industry. You have seen the evolution of, film to digital to from 1 megapixel to God.
Yeah, I remember in high school, like when Photoshop 2 or 3, we had that, and that was pretty cool. And we had
you had Corel back then too.
Yeah, Corel Draw,
Corel Paint.
I don't even know if it was a whole megapixel camera our school had, but
a whole megapixel.
Whole megapixel, yeah. And it took forever to transfer to the computer.
Yeah. I mean, on a similar vein, I remember buying my first real computer from a store. It was a Pentium 90. And I bought two 2.5 gig hard drives in that thing. I had 5 gigabytes of storage. And I remember everybody telling me, how are you ever going to fill that? And now I have a cell phone in my pocket that has a terabyte in it. So from just a technology perspective, do you like the digital, or are you kind of like, if we go down the audiophile track, are you like, film is richer, kind of like a vinyl record over digital and analog? I mean, what do you think?
I think, because I studied science of light, and when they compare like digital versus film, and film has like a more dynamic film rate, I forget what they call it, but there's like a palette of tones in how many you can fit in film versus digital. And the digital is like a smaller dynamic range. But film, you can still see, the detail, color, curve. It's hard to explain, but
so what you're saying is you're a nostalgic guy, and if we could all go back to actual film cameras tomorrow, you'd be the one leading the charge.
No, because people look at a photo nowadays. People look at a photo they look at it as they're scrolling, they never, and then that's that, and that's.
Well, I mean, you said it earlier, I'm old, man. I remember, disc cameras,
Oh yeah.
but in general, and this is a very good point. And I love the fact that we're talking about the photography aspect of things, because when I was a kid, you had cameras, Nikon, whatever. You'd take your photos, you'd take them to the drugstore, you'd come back in a couple of days and they'd give you the big envelope full of photos, and you're like, oh my God, there's my thumb.
Yeah.
But the reason I'm trying to bring this up is unfortunately for me, I had a death in my family recently, and we've been cleaning out my parents' house, and there are just boxes and boxes and boxes of old photographs. And to your point, we're doing this all day. I've actually sat and wondered, what is the point? If you're not posting it on social media, at least in the old days, if you had a photo, you could get an 8x7, you'd put it in a frame, you'd put it on a wall. We all have probably a couple 100,000 photographs on our phones, but what are we doing with them all? And what happens to them? And if these are so important, why is it that we don't show them to anybody?
They're sitting on a server somewhere.
Yeah.
But
our memories should be shared.
I do. I still, college, I started out in film, and I still have my old portfolio, and there's a lot of it, I'm just I can't. It's in a shoebox.
But you can't get rid of it.
Yeah, no.
To me, it just kind of really points towards that thing, the idea that, our personal experiences in this world, they're very important to us, but yet we've turned them into this digital collection that, God forbid, when we pass away, they'll just basically get deleted, and it's just sad, because our generation, we can see those actual hard copies.
Yeah.
What happens to these generations now, where as loved ones may pass away, all of those photographs are now locked up in a device that we may not be able to get back into.
Yeah. I would take, back when we put things on CD, you could send stuff out, and they would analogize your digital files or whatever. And then you could still make prints off them, traditional prints, but now, I mean, who's got the time for that? I don't even know if this company still exists, but
yeah, it's a really crazy game. So before we started this interview, I kind of asked you, what kind of things you wanted to talk about. And you said that you like to talk about the stuff that nobody likes to talk about. And luckily for you, that is actually one of my specialties. I am really good at upsetting people. So beforehand, we were talking about 0 days. We were talking about the darknet. And my understanding is you, as you said, you've been in the photo industry for over 20 years, but you're relatively new to the cyber side.
Right. Yeah.
So how long have you been doing cyber?
Probably like 4 or 5 years now.
Okay. So yeah, to be honest, people like you, I really appreciate. The new people that are coming in, you guys are looking at the technology with fresh eyes. So you're able to see things that, people like me and other people that have been in the industry for 20, 30 years that we may just overlook. So I think, first of all, welcome to the space. I think you are going to make you've got the right mindset to where you could really make this happen. So let's start off with the darknet. Have you decided to take the risk and go there yet?
I used to before it was actually the darknet, but not as of late. I'm focusing on like other stuff where I can understand like, all right, now that I have access to the darknet, how can I use it? If I access the darknet, what to look for, what to look out for.
Well, here's a better question. And as somebody new, this is something I wanted to ask. What is the fascination?
Just to kind of stay ahead, because it seems like, the breaches and stuff first get dumped on there. So how can I stay ahead of the curve as far as like, what to look out for? And like, if I like pivot into the cybersecurity world, how can I help clients and stuff?
Yeah, the darknet is a very, very unique place. And you're right. The reason that most of the leaks and everything get dropped there first is due to the lack of regulation and lack of oversight or even real monitoring. The problem is it's more like that's where you go after the fact. And the reason I bring this up is not to try and put you on the spot, but I really want to help, understand where you're going and see what I can do to try and help.
I guess that was also like my political answer. I feel like you're supposed to say.
No,
because also
you want to talk. Wait a minute. You said you wanted to talk about the stuff that nobody wants to.
I know,
so come on.
So also, it's like I also like to date myself a little bit. I feel like the darknet is the original internet where you could go on and find
Well, you're close. The original was the ARPANET, but we're not going to go there.
All right. But also, it's just like, since it's, you're not supposed to be there. I always want to see what you're not supposed to be doing, or,
There you go. See, that's the truth. You want to do something because everybody tells you not to.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I really do feel that is the spirit of a cybersecurity person. We're not doing it necessarily because we want to create havoc, but, for me, it's always been about the challenge personally. I'll break in, but for me, it's me versus the lock, not necessarily what's on the other side of the lock. So I 100% get that. The only thing I'm going to say, and this is not necessarily just for you, but for the listeners as well, is the darknet is basically the Wild West for those of you that don't know. And there are some dangerous people there and lots of nasty stuff goes on. And caution is the best thing that I can give. If you're not familiar, I'm not even going to tell people how to get to the darknet because I don't want people going there who shouldn't be there. The darknet to me is one of those things where if you know what you're doing, there is stuff to be gained. I will say I personally have been on the Silk Road back in the day. I will neither confirm nor deny any purchases made there, but yeah, I've been there. And it is basically the hacker's playground, but with great power comes great responsibility.
Just because I feel like everything now on the internet it's also like it's become almost like a big TV, ABC, NBC.
It's
commercialized. So, and I don't know, it's like if you're looking for certain things, they don't have to be like nefarious things, but you're getting filtered into this whole like channel, and it's like I don't necessarily want to like get that. So
I agree. You just be careful. Be very, very careful. The one thing that causes the darknet to be such a difficulty, especially to a lot of new people, is there is no Google for the darknet. You kind of have to know where you're going, and you can wind up in some places and see some stuff that you might need therapy for afterwards if you're not careful. Yeah. So I really appreciate that. What else do you have coming up soon?
I'm probably going to try and hit maybe DEF CON.
Oh,
I'm set for that.
Have you been?
Yeah. So
awesome. We've got a lot of parties going on. I know the Red Sea is going to be there as well. So I will also be in attendance. So we got to hook up in Vegas, man.
I appreciate that. Yeah,
absolutely.
Because I've been a couple times, and it's so overwhelming, and there's so many lines too, and it's like I don't see the point of that for like a t-shirt, but it's also, you don't know where to go, and then if you don't know people too, it's like what's the point? I find that I get most
DEF CON is kind of like the physical reenactment of the darknet in some ways.
Yeah. I find that I got the most benefit out of just hanging out around DEF CON, like hanging out at the restaurants and just kind of, you don't know who you're going to meet. And it's fun how it brings different people together. And
that comes back to community once again. And if you ask me, I've said this for probably at least the last 5-6 years, going to DEF CON to try and watch sessions and learn something it's a lost cause. The DEF CON has gotten so big that if you want to watch a session, you need to get in line for it the session before, and then it's a 50-50 chance if you'll get in. That's why I love events like this, Hack RedCon, Hack SpaceCon. These are smaller, more intimate. I think there's a lot more knowledge transfer at these types of events, but I agree. Going to DEF CON to me is more for networking than it is for actual education at this point.
For people who haven't been, I tell them besides Vegas, because it's right before everything's accessible. There's still like Sky Talk type things where, there's no phones or computers or so. And it's just a good hang, and it's spread out, but it's not too crazy. So
what do you think? How's your experience here at Hack RedCon this year for 2025 been so far?
This is my second one. It's great. I want to come back again. I've been to both last two Hack Space Cons. So I drove out here 10 hours. So I'll do it again. Fun little road trip.
Hey, there's nothing like road tripping, man.
Yeah.
So with that, I really want to say thank you very much for joining me today. We're going to end this part of the interview, and we've got another special thing coming up. So this is called Whiskey and War Stories. So what we're going to do today, what we would like to do is I am going to ask you to please, over the course of your career, tell me a war story. Some kind of social engineering, anything that you would consider to be a war story.
War stories. So many, without throwing people under the bus.
Well, you don't have to throw somebody under the bus.
I guess the big thing about working in the photo and fashion industry, it's a lot of narcissists and sociopaths. And that's something I'm attracted to, because these people will take whatever they can from you. But if you learn how to set up boundaries, you can learn so much from them, because they will push and see how far they can take it. And I'd be like, oh, if he got away with that, I can at least go halfway. Or if she did this, that's not really a war story, but I do. Oh, a friend of mine who's scammed me out of so much money, but it's almost worth it, because just watching how he interacts with people and how people react to him. But he got his way into a Victoria's Secrets show. And so because of him, I got to go backstage at all the Victoria's Secret parties. So that's been part of my, I guess,
that's awesome.
Social engineering. So living in Miami and stuff too, we'd sneak into all the clubs and
just basically showed up with your camera and
yeah, and people just assume you're somebody.
You're part of the photo team, man. To match your story real quick, I'll keep it small. I actually social engineered my way into being able to interview Dee Snider from Twisted Sister when I was younger by showing up with a camera and telling him, yeah, I'm here for our interview that we scheduled. And he's like, what interview? Oh, the one that your production company forgot to tell you about that I never really made. So here's to social engineering. Thank you very much for coming.
Cheers.
Hope to see you next year. Cheers. And with that, till our next interview, peace.